are something that so many people struggle with, so I want to do a dedicated video focusing on eyelashes. I like to use references to help inform my decisions when I'm drawing. It's just way easier to look at a picture and try to replicate it than trying to like dream up all the variations in my own imagination. And I thought I would show you a couple different varieties of mediums because I know not everyone just works in pencil. So I thought I'd grab like a Sharpie, I have a brush pen, a mechanical pencil, a regular pencil, just to show you different ways that you can kind of do things. And I hope this video helps you not only execute cool looking eyelashes, but also think of other ways that you can make eyelashes, because it's just more fun to have a variety of things to choose from rather than having just one. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's head over to my art table and let's get started. Okay, let's get this drawing party started. Okay, so we need to draw some eye shapes. And I just thought that might be beneficial in case you're new before we drop the eyelashes on. The easiest way is to kind of start with like a squished oval, and then you kind of like fine tune it. So you make this a little slanty here. And then you kind of like make this little pocket, and that's the tear duct. And then you literally follow along the oval, okay? And then here it kind of has to come together at some point like that. And really, like, that's all you got going on. I don't want to be, this is not an eye drawing lesson. I actually just like 2 videos ago, maybe 3, I did a whole lesson on how to draw 5 different eyes with a download packet and all this cool stuff. So I'm just going to do kind of the quick and dirty versions today, because I really do want to just focus on making eyelashes. So you have this eye, and then you have an eyelid of some depth. Okay, that should be plenty to get us started. Okay, so eyelashes. I do have a resource for you that is free. This is a guidebook that I created for my drawing membership club, so do not go and purchase this. It's really only relevant if you are a student of mine. But what I do have for everyone that is free, of so many cheat sheets, is this. This is available for a free download. So if you want to let me know if you want, this is just called my eyelash cheat sheet. But what it is like the 3 steps to creating and the 3 priorities that you need to keep in mind when you are drawing eyelashes. First and foremost is directionality. Okay, directionality really is super important, because what I a lot of times see people that are new to drawing do, and it's no big deal, it's such an easy correction, but they don't even realize that they're doing it, or they kind of feel like, or they recognize that their eyelashes aren't amazing and they can't kind of figure out why. The easiest, well, the most common mistake I see, and it's again, no big deal, is they don't have the correct directionality. So this is the most important thing of all. And let's say we cut this down the center. So we just have like a center line down our eyeball that we're drawing. At the midpoint here, the direction changes, okay? So I start with parentheses. The parentheses is like my little trick for remembering the direction that the eyelashes are supposed to go. So as we know, the parentheses look like this, right? And there's a little word in here. Oh no, okay, but that's the direction of the parentheses. So if you can remember parentheses, you'll never forget the direction that your eyelashes need to go. So we can put the parentheses on both the top and the bottom just to get us started. Now that's not the right size or anything, but it really just sets you up for success just in terms of directionality, because it helps you remember where to go. So super cool. So everything to the midpoint is going to be this direction of parentheses. And then when you hit the middle point, you switch directions and you go and do this, the outside of the parentheses. And the same thing happens on the bottom. So forgive the form and everything, but in terms of directionality, that's really, really important. So, and then literally this one in the middle is straight up and down, and then you switch. And then I have this little placeholder, you know, this little placeholder eyelash over here, so it reminds me, okay, now I switch. So you can draw these like super lightly, or you can draw them off down to the bottom or on a piece of scratch paper, but that just will always prompt you to remember to put your eyelashes in going in the right direction. So that this is just like a quick and dirty about direction example. So that's the first and foremost of things to keep in mind, because the biggest mistake I see people make is literally their eyelashes are like straight lines. Even if they have the sort of directionality, well, this is the second thing that's the most important, is they're kind of just straight, but there is a definite directionality or curvature to every single eyelash. It's very rare to have like a super straight eyelash. So the first thing on this cheat sheet is to remind you that directionality is first and foremost important. Okay, the second most important thing is the pressure. And this little 1, 2, 3 talks about pressure, and it walks you through. You push hard down first at the base, right? And then step 2, or maybe not right because you don't know this yet, is flick your pencil around and up off of your paper. And then step 3 is then repeat. Now go back and do a second layer. And humans have lots of lashes. Okay, so that is super true. So the pressure is something, again, you can kind of practice on a piece of scrap paper before you get to your quote unquote real eye. But let's repeat those steps again. Number 1 is push down hard at the base first. Boom. I can just say this is the top eyelid. Number 2 is flick your pencil around and up off your paper. Okay, so we're doing this because remember, directionality is number 1, but this is this flick thing that we got going on. But this helps us create directionality, but also this flick is what helps us combat against this, where this is where eyelashes that are created with a same pressure, like this is uniform pressure to make these lines. And if, say, I do have the curved line correctly, it's still very hard and harsh. And this flicking, where you have a lot of pressure at the base and then you flick, helps to create the illusion that this is a hair more than it's a letter C. Okay, so that even with just a mechanical pencil or just a simple writing tool, that flicking creates a nice taper. Here's like this will be like a zoom in shot of an eyelash that's been flicked. This was like a zoom in on a big scale. It would be smaller at the end. So it does create a little bit of a bigger base, and then flick, and see it tapers ever so slowly as it gets towards the end. Okay, so that is an eyelash little effect. Okay, so that's, again, directionality number 1, pressure number 2. And this actually a lot of you probably already have this cheat sheet if you're used to working along with me, whether you're in if you're in my drawing club or just here on YouTube. I have 2 YouTube channels actually, and I've taught this on my mixed media channel as well. But because I just know people struggle so much with eyelashes. So you can also, the third most important thing is to actually vary your lengths. This makes it look more realistic. So if you can see this little zoom in, the zoom in part of the cheat sheet is, see how there are different lengths? There's like it kind of reminds me of like a shark's mouth. And you know how that like sharks have different rows of teeth? That's just how human eyelashes are. There's different rows, and they're all kind of staggered, and they're all different lengths. I know it's weird that my analogy is shark teeth, but I hope you can see kind of where that comes from. So you can have kind of long ones, you can have short ones, you can have double layers, and then the end result is that you kind of have enough. So so let's now kind of use different drawing materials. So up to this top one. This is, what am I working with? This is a 0.9 mechanical pencil. Okay, so let's say we have, and this is a very big eye, so that makes it actually a lot harder. This would be a huge face if I was drawing a real face. But again, we have this invisible guideline. We can put our parentheses on. You can even make little ones. Again, you can do it off to the side if you don't want to sully your drawing, but just remind yourself. Okay, and then remember, so directionality, got my parentheses, I'll remember. Then we need to do the flick. So I'm going to start this side first. And we're gonna do a nice flick. And we're gonna keep going. It's a big eye, so it's a little challenging. And remember, there's layers and there's varying lengths. So we can have some that are wonky and we can have some that are not. In the middle, I go straight up, and then we're gonna switch directions. And we're doing that flick at the base, up. And the reason it still looks a little crazy is because I don't have enough. So I think sometimes too, people err on the side of not enough. Now this is a large scale drawing, so these lines are too skinny for the size of this eye. So a little hack, instead of doing a million more lashes with my thin mechanical pencil, is you can actually make each of these lashes a little bit thicker. And what I do is I actually make 2 lines and combine them into one. For example, I could take this one and I'm gonna do like a sister line and give it some thickness. And that's more about the scale that we're talking with. So all these lines, I can give this one a secondary line as well. Same thing here. And I'm still using that same kind of flick, and I'm coloring in the base because we want this thickness. And as you can see, they're starting to kind of like, oh yeah, that looks better. So sometimes the answer isn't more, it's a thickness issue. And here's another one. And sometimes it's both. And then maybe that's too many. And we can do that again. Whoop. And also sometimes you can vary, and this is where you can start coming up with a lot of different styles and looks. Is like, okay, maybe this one has a lot on the left side, but then it kind of tapers out and you don't have all of these. You know, you don't need to go crazy either. A lot of my girls for many years, I only just did like these bunch and I didn't even really have but a flicker on the other side. So anyways, I wanted to kind of beef up the scale. And then if it still looks a little sparse, you can always add in more. And it will start filling in. And this is what you have to do if you have a really because this is a a harder pencil and a larger scale, is you need some way to beef these up to make sense. And then of course, you can take a blending stump and kind of fill in the shading for the eye. Eyelashes always look weird if you don't have it on like a finished eyeball. But you can super easily just like envision more. That's just the top. And then again, you can do the same on the bottom. You have like a double thickness. And again, you have your directionality. Even leaving them 2 and not filling them in is better than having just one really sparse one. So this double line to create a lash look is great if you have this is a very hard pencil, light lines, and it's a quick way to kind of beef up the volume of the eyelashes as you go. So that's large scale, again, large scale hard, which is not what I don't recommend. I would recommend using a soft pencil and then it makes it much easier. But I just want to show you, sometimes you can just double it up, fill it in, and that's a faster way to make a thick lash. If I have something like a really hard, like a soft pencil, this is an 8B, for example, and I'll show you if I have a small scale eye. Just kind of make our quick eye here. There wouldn't be like a point right there, but just a quick eye. It's a lot easier and it's much faster. So this is a really soft pencil. So now the same thing, directionality. I'm gonna put my parentheses on the side so I remember. We're gonna do that flick. Flick. Some are short, some can be long. In the middle we switch directions. Okay, and the same thing for the bottom. Switch directions. I'm doing my directionality, I'm doing my flicks, and it's super fast. And it's really easy, and you don't need to double them up because my pencil is super soft and the scale is more accurate. So I can use my blending stump to shade the eyelid and the eye itself. But it's a much faster project because the scale of my eye is much, much smaller. But it's super quick if you just want to do a quick and dirty eye. Not that you want a quick and dirty eye, but you know what I mean. It's simpler if you're working with a soft pencil and your scale is smaller too. It's a better way to practice because you'll get really quick success. It's much easier than doing a very large scale eye with, again, the hard, light leg. All right, so I want to show you two more examples because I think like a Sharpie is kind of a common drawing tool. So I want to show you kind of the same technique with that as well. So a thin Sharpie like this is equivalent to working in a mechanical pencil where the tip is really thin and it's hard to make that same look. So again, I'm going to sketch my eye shape. Here's my eye pupil. I'm sorry, the iris and the pupil and the lid. And it's kind of the same thing where you're like, oh no, I only have this teeny tiny little nib. How do I make that look okay? And the same thing is you can do the same thing where you do that double line again if you want to. Because if you don't, again, it's going to be like too sparse. So again, the double line is a really quick and easy way to kind of beef up those lines. But on the bottom where you have much more sparse lashes, then a single line would actually be perfect for that and look pretty realistic. Another thing you can do is thicken up the top line, which also helps to make your character look like they're wearing some makeup. So a lot of times if my eyelashes are kind of weird and I can't fix them, I will kind of compensate by adding like a thicker, what looks like a makeup line. And almost like then that takes center stage and then people don't notice my wonky eyelashes as much. And again, don't forget, you can, you know, add more, and sometimes people just simply don't have enough. Okay, and then there should be shading in there. All right, so sometimes people also have the opposite problem where they're working in a marker that's too big. So say you have like a Sharpie like this. This is one of my favorite cheats. All right, so say you have the eye shape. And you have the eye. And this is the tear duct and the eyelid. And then you have these great, these great big lashes. It should not affect your, those priorities are still the same. Directionality. Okay, and that flick is the same no matter if you're working in a marker or a pencil or whatever you're working in. That flick is like super helpful. Okay, so sometimes what I do, it's the same thing, is I will thicken up this and say like I cannot get my eyelashes together and they're just looking super ugly, or there's too many, or there's too few, and I can't like fix it. My favorite thing to do, especially because the lashes are my last stop, especially in my mixed media project. So I've been here many times before. You're not alone. I will super thicken up this top makeup line, and I'll turn this whole side into a cat eye. And I will literally cover over these crazy ones, and I'll just be like, yep, I meant to do this. Because in real life, if you do have cat eye makeup, you can still see your lashes. A lot of times, especially drag queens or like, you know, if you have fun makeup effects, you actually still have the lashes. And in some super extreme cases, I'll even do it on the lower side too. You gotta know you have options. So funny. Not that exaggerated. And then what I found over time is that I loved this cat eye so much that, especially on my mixed media girls, and if you need some tutorials, they're all on my Campbell mixed media channel. What I ended up starting to do was I would just forget all these individual lashes altogether, and I would just do the cat eye. This is all, and it looks awesome. Like there's no one this doesn't look, I don't do the bottoms, but I will definitely like thicken up the top. It's such an awesome shortcut way to do lashes, and then you're done. And if you want to do like some sparse lashes, you totally can, but it's very optional. You can do, or sometimes I'll just do like a couple on the bottom. But really, you don't need to do any other lashes besides the big cat eye. And then last but not least, this is my favorite way, I'm saving the best for last, is I use a brush pen. It's just the best. And I don't care what mediums I'm working in, across both channels, across all my drawing projects, whether I work in alcohol markers or like pen, I use the same brush marker. I'll show it's like my secret weapon for drawing lashes. So again, here's my eye. And there's a bunch of people that make brush pens. My favorite one is, this is by Pentel, it's Japanese. I buy them on Amazon, but this is a really sensitive brush nib. And when you do your little flicky motion, it takes a bit of practice. This is, and I'm used to my pocket one. It, when you do that flick, because it's a brush tip, it separates really nicely and you get that same kind of lash look really, really easily. It makes really fine lines. It can make really thick lines. If you put a lot of pressure on it, it can make a really thick one. And I like to do outlines on my girls when I'm drawing, but it does take a little bit of practice because it's really, really sensitive. Like if you press down really hard, you can get a thick line. If you barely press down, you can look at that. Look at the difference in the line weights for one pen. So it does take a bit of practice, because if you do your flick, you know, when you're pressing down far, you're going to get a really fat one, which may not be good. Or you can do these really, really tiny baby lashes by just using the tip. But this is the Pentel. There's a Pentel pocket brush pen, and then there's the regular one. So I like the pocket one, it's my favorite. So you can look that up on Amazon. But Pentel pocket brush pen. It's really, really fun. It's wonky because it's so sensitive to pressure. And these are real, this is an actual brush. It's not just like a pointy nib. So it's made up of bristles, but it's really fun to practice doing your eyes that way. And you can do a really easy cat eye that way as well. You just kind of blend it in. So yeah, so I hope that this video helps. I will link to my facial features in 5 minutes playlist if you want to practice eyes, nose, mouths, hair, lips, and face shape. I have a whole series on different facial features. If you haven't checked that out yet, you can. I also have this drawing of eyes that I have here on the channel too, if you want to get into a little bit of watercolor markers, or super duper fun. But I'll see you next time with a new video. Enjoy that facial feature series, and I'll see you soon.